Hello and welcome to an episode of Mr. Kung Has Options. I'm going to try to post these as I stumble on technology and or solutions that I think make student work richer and make teachers' lives easier. So, Jamboard, a great collaborative tool in the Google Suite. We use it in my class and grade and school in our one-to-one district. We all have iPads, but obviously it works in Chromebooks districts as well, or in districts where the technology solutions are a little more heterogeneous. It is a great way for students to work together collaboratively. And it's very easy to set up if you just want students to be working in their own spaces, on their own stuff. However, it brings up a question. And that question is, how can I create a Jamboard template for collaborative work easily? I know that I can create an empty Jamboard, and I know that that will work for many activities. However, I need to be able to figure out how I could do more specific work with more specific groups on more specific tasks that are a little less open-ended, and how I could do that work quickly and create those boards quickly. So this is my attempt to figure that out. Okay, my first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Jamboard, and I'm going to add to it one activity from my image library that I've already created, and that's an open-ended activity right here, where we're going to have groups work on how many, totally open-ended. I'm going to allow students to figure out what they want to count in this particular case and show us or tell us how they counted. They might use equations or expressions, they might just use their voices, they might use sentences, but it's just an open-ended activity. And let's see, I'm going to have 8 groups in my class, so what I'm going to need to do here then is I'm going to need to duplicate this 7 more times. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's 7. Did I get that right? Yeah, I now have 8 different slides. So if my students know that they need to go to the Jamboard and they can use their small group is number 4, they can come to this particular board in this Jamboard, and they can work together on this open-ended activity using the pens or pointers or drawing or markers or anything else. So that would be a simple way that I can create a template and an activity quite quickly that we'll be able to use in my classroom for a multitude of students. Okay, but what if we wanted to have very specific groups working on each of these activities? Let's see, let's create a separate group for each board. And I should add that I'm doing this all on the iPad version of Jamboard. So let's see, in this case, I'm going to use my images that I've created. So I have created images for one for each of my groups. And so here I've got my group 1 lineup, Jocelyn, Giselle, Aiden, and Rebecca. So I want to create a board for them. And then I want to create a second board, and I want to have group 2 working on their board. Excellent. I want to create group 3. I'm going to have them working on their board. Group 4 is going to work on their board. Excellent. Group 5 is going to work on their board. That's these folks, starting with Jacinto. Group 6 is going to work on their board right here. Group 7 is going to work on their board. That's going to be created right here. And finally, Group 8 is going to work on their board. That's right here. And now what I have is a different kind of a template. I have a blank space, but I have it set up for specific groups. So every single group is now pre-assigned with their names and their colors, all ready to work on a specific task. And this is a great way of creating a specific template. In fact, if I were to go ahead and name this, I think I would call this something like this is a template for, let's see, it's template for 8 groups, 8 specific groups. So not random groups, not randomly assigned, in breakout rooms or something like that, but a template for 8 specific groups. So if I ever need to have a template for my 8 specific groups with these specific kids in each of those 8 groups, now I'm ready to go with this template. I can make a copy and go from there. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I try to pair those things together, where I needed to create a specific activity that is the same for every group, but on different boards, that one of which is has the label for each of the 8 groups. I'm going to show you how I merge those two things together, and that'll be on the next video.